I share it this time before you get it set up?
How about we change it on here to
Hey guys.
Sean doxes his medical records. How's that?
Sean doxes. Yeah, well, don't change it yet. We have, we got some medical records of Sean's, and we're kind of excited because we're the first to talk about it.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
We're going to dox medical records.
We're going to dox medical records.
All right, so you need to share it.
Yeah. Hey, Nicolette, I saw your name. As long as, Nicolette, you're welcome, as long as we're not doing peacekeeping missions. We don't need that. Hey, Arlene. It's all good.
It's all good in the hood.
It's all, well, actually, you do have to pull it up because I don't know how to get it from there to there.
What do you mean?
Does that make sense? Like,
oh, I need to put it on the right. I need to.
Yeah,
put it on the
I don't
right
know
Twitter.
how to do it.
Or it's this. There will be this troll Twitter account that freaking.
I was really gonna stretch like this.
There goes, baby. That's this one. So now you can just save it.
But I can't.
Yeah, you can.
I have to share it from this.
I know. Watch.
Oh, I know how to do it. Hold on. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Talk to these nice people.
So we didn't go live last night, right?
We did
and
not.
It's because it was misery to be had as my insides were flowing freely out.
He finally, yeah, see, baby, I don't know.
Okay, let me do it.
He took and hacked. I hope it's working again. I can't, restarting the modem won't work because I've already done that. I wonder why it's doing it now, but we don't, oh, there. Sean must have a sore arm. I'm gonna go out. No, it's not y'all, it's us.
That's not how you want to do it, right? It's not like that. Okay, hold on.
Are y'all all there? Yeah, I can share it once you get to the actual show.
We went live. We went live earlier, right? It was pretty good.
Hope we went live early.
Like last weekend, maybe.
Hope we went live early.
Like last weekend, maybe.
Are we back? Look, they're all safe. Let me see. This will be the light. Oh, look at the light, Sean. I look like a vampire.
Everybody said okay.
Let me see here if we can. Let's see. Aw.
They said okay.
Last try. If it's spinnies, then we'll turn it off. Is it?
I know they're not seeing it because they're all.
Did it stabilize? Okay, hold on. Let's see if it's stabilized.
Hi there again. Oh, are we here? Now you're back again. All right, one last go at it. If it stays, it stays.
You guys,
Na.
Sean's ex-placeholder has hacked all of our accounts. She's even hacked our HelloFresh account. Can you imagine if we had it? You had a tomato, baby. How do you have a tomato? It was a...
Because I was feeding the babies.
Oh, because I didn't get tomatoes on your Taco Bell.
No.
So, while we have y'all, okay, so we already said the Sue tab cleaned them out, but not enough apparently because the right side, the doctor said that he's going to have to do again in 3 to 6 months. Sean can tell you about that.
But let's wait and see if people come back.
I am. Well, I was going to say again, but we have the first go at doxing the records. We're first. You heard it here first. I don't know where the papers are. Okay. Fingers crossed. Everybody can see in here.
Everybody that saw the message that we're going to go again at 8:30, go get them.
Run to their house and go get them.
I was worried the beast hacked you.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
Far, so good. Hey, Butters Love.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't want to do this at 8:30 because I'm pretty old and we are going to try to fit in some love making tonight.
Oh my gosh, you just said that. You just said it.
I know, but I didn't say it
you sounded
like an old man, right?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit. Ellie,
I think we know why Ellie's getting sick all the time.
But I don't think it's the first. I mean, it did. I don't think it's really like makes her feel good, and that's why she keeps doing it.
Maybe that's why she sits here and she's like sleepy in a dream state and whatever.
I thought the type of mushrooms you need have to be under a cow patty.
Well, they grow up out of the cow patty. They grow up on top of it. Like after, okay, so I'm a little bit of a pro at this.
So you've gone cow tipping to get a shroom
No,
before?
you don't tip the
No,
cows.
I know, but
so like when I was in school in Valdosta, South Georgia, Florida border, really steamy after a rain, like in the sun. That's when, so like if it rains at night, when it's done raining and it's real humid, that's when they pop out. And if you don't get them the next day, if it's real hot, they'll like burn up and shrivel up. So in a college town in Valdosta, Georgia, after a summer rain, all you see in the big cow pastures, all you see is these little lights. Everyone's running around.
I bet the farmers are like, get out of here.
And yes, it has happened where a bull has gotten a person or two.
Oh my, I can't picture Sean doing that stuff. Like, well, gotta head out. It's hot and steamy and just rained and I need to get some shrooms.
But dude, we have a calculus 2 exam. Priorities, dude. I'll call in.
So it's illegal to take them.
Well, it's trespassing, first of all. To go
no,
in
but I
people's
mean,
yard.
it's okay. But let's say someone, hey Loretta, let's say someone lets you get them. Is consuming them illegal?
I don't know what the laws are. I think so.
That's crazy.
But I will tell you, we had like a water cooler with how many gallons are those things you put in a water cooler? Like 25 gallons or something.
Something like that, yeah.
We had one and we filled it halfway with shrooms, and then we would make like Kool-Aid with it, and we'd put it right in the cooler and drink it just like that, because it would the Kool-Aid would suck the stuff out of the shrooms, and then we would just make cups full of it and sit around.
Well,
and
how
drink
messed up would you be off of one cup?
Well, we were pretty hardcore trippers, so. But really, if you like some people like to cut it up and put it like on like a Geno's pizza or whatever, and then eat it like. But that they said cooking it kind of takes the effect away. This is gross. People said that they couldn't do it because when the effects of mushrooms hit you, you get sick. You kind of get a little bit, and then you're done. You get sick for a second, you're done. I used to take a wad of mushrooms like tobacco and just put it in the side of my mouth and just chew on it.
Did you go to class like that?
No. Because after about 20 minutes, you're in the funny pages.
Toon Cat is apparently a connoisseur, maybe back in the day or maybe now.
So Toon Cat
says you have to pick them before the sun hits them.
That's right, exactly.
And they have to be grain-fed cows.
I didn't know about that, but the thing is like, okay, so Valdosta, Georgia, you can look up where it is. It's kind of like the farmlands of the South Georgia or the panhandle of Florida, right? So right there is where I went to school. And you didn't have iPhones and freaking AccuWeather and all that. You really didn't know. No one watched the news. It's going to rain tonight. So you'd be sitting around like wherever, say like, especially the summer when school is out, say it's July or whatever, August, and it starts pouring down rain in the middle of the night. Toon Cat, you got ready. You got all your equipment ready, your freaking boots, you got your baggie ready. And then when that rain stopped and it got good and humid and steamy, you went out and got them. That's when.
And
that's
you know
when
that the farmers saw all the lights.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, well.
Yeah, every once in a while there'd be like a bull out in one of them, and most of the time in the dark the bull is pretty docile. That's where cow tipping happens, because you run and push the cow over, because they're a little bit like chickens. When they're sleeping in the dark, they sleep standing up and they don't.
Does it hurt them?
I hope not. But the problem with cow tipping is like when you tip them over, they're going to get up and they're going to run in a direction. If it's the direction that you're going, you're going to get run over by a cow.
And you got to be pretty strong to tip a cow.
Not really, not when they're sleeping.
Aww.
But you do get a running start to hit them like a linebacker. But it's pretty mean.
What story you need to tell someday?
What?
The one I'm going to wreak havoc on this whole place.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I could. Yeah, that may come up.
So Casey. I did shrooms back in my 30s, and it would hit the clubs after smoking a little weed. Mind blowing, literally. Do you know Ambien is a hypnotic? Did you know that?
I just go to sleep.
Well, that's what. If you take it and don't go to sleep, I mean, you are like, what day's today? It's Wednesday. Oh, it's not Monday. Like that's what happens with it.
See, trazodone is like that too.
Thank you, Presley. I just saw it. Thank you so. Oh my gosh, you are.
Presley, I saw your Twitter today.
Thank you. Thank you for the PayPal.
So Presley,
hey,
Presley was the last tweet that I saw before the propofol hit me. And she was going through some stuff. She said she was going to be MIA to take care of the family. I saw that. You know, we love you.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
Thank you. Thank you for.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's always chicken treats. They get the fancy stuff when we.
We're going to name one of our. I think the next chicken we get, we're going to name Presley.
That would be kind of cute.
Yeah, we'll get you like a real cool chicken, like an Americana or a Easter egger.
I wish that, Karen, if you were closer, the person that we got Ozzy from has 5 chicks ready to go.
Silkies.
Little silky chicks ready to go. Which I don't know if you'd be interested or not. The thing is with us, you have better luck because you have more of a fence, you know, or whatever. The silkies are just not bright enough or fast enough.
They're not fast enough.
Yeah.
They don't see well, so like.
We're going to tell you in just a second. Jude wants to know how you made out.
Oh, we're going to get into that. We're going to dox my records, right?
And then
redact the social
don't worry,
security.
Beast. We'll send you a copy so that
Yeah.
you can add to your paper file.
Yeah, so you can have pictures of my asshole.
Make sure you kiss it.
Yeah, the picture.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. We came up with that right off.
Right off there. We're
They
quick.
say we're stupid.
Mandy always says I'm pretty quick on the draw. I mean, but you
That's
know,
why I said
with my quick wit and her ability to drag a bitch, it's a pretty good mix.
I was like, can you imagine if you really got going to drag her?
I know. I just thought.
I know.
So
we made that conscious, determined, deliberate effort.
Yes, we did. It flowed. So with the silkies, Karen, they're so what happens whenever I let the chickens out? The first thing they do in the morning is they mill around, they eat the food I put out, but then they collectively shoot across the yard about 100 feet, 100 maybe 150 feet to the back edge of the yard, and they start there, and the silkies kind of meander out there, and then the other chickens there are fast enough to get away from stuff, like they can fly that. The silkies cannot do that, so that's where I worry about them. If they get caught on the back end of the yard, and like a predator comes, they're gonna get caught. That we've lost our other 2 silkies that way. That's the problem that I have with the silkies.
And they can't remember how to get back in the coop most of the time.
And they don't see very well.
The paper was right there anyway.
So I think what Mandy and I are eventually going to do is we're going to make a small little run just for the silkies and maybe get 1 or 2 more silkies or something to put with them so that they have their own little separate area that's enclosed. Yeah. The other chickens can get away.
I know. Casey, I knew that, but I didn't know if you wanted everyone. I didn't know if you were. Everyone knew your name was Karen. So,
there was another Loretta in the community that Mandy thought was our Loretta.
No, her name's not Loretta though.
Thought it was though.
I told Loretta it was Meeps.
Meeps.
And if you see her, if you don't look, but you see the thing pop up, it looks like Loretta. So when it would say, and I knew what Loretta's Instagram handle was, so I don't know why all of a sudden I got it in my head that it was like, so she would be riding around our property, Meeps, if you're watching, fantastic property, I think in Canada. So I was like, Loretta, I didn't know that you had land and whatever. And then 2 streams I did this to another Instagram. She said, Loretta, oh, I get to hear Loretta's voice finally. And, and finally Meep sent me a DM and she was like, I'm glad that you're watching, but I'm not.
We support you guys.
She said she was very flattered that it was, that
you're watching?
Well, that she was flattered that we thought she was Loretta.
Oh.
Loretta's beautiful.
Yeah, true.
Okay, and, so start with your...
But anyway, Meeps, her property, she's got videos of her property and it's gorgeous.
Can you give me the paper? I'm just going to look at it again before
She's like, Sean, let's
No, I want to make sure because you're going to talk first.
Okay, so we'll start.
Check out Frizzle chickens. Okay.
With yesterday when
Sioux-Tab.
So the Sioux-Tab, it's no joke. I should have started it earlier and then just kind of slept through the night, but I tried to time it right. So I didn't take the first dose of Sioux-Tab until about 7 last night. And I took all 12 tablets and swallowed them down with a whole bottle of water. And then you wait an hour, and then you drink a bottle of water, then you wait an hour, then you drink another, so it's about a 3-hour process. Before I could even get into the second bottle, it was open floodgates, man. And that's how my night went. It went from, 7:30 until we left. I moved out onto the couch and used the other bathroom, and So the first dose started at 7 and did that process. And then the second dose I started at about 2 or 3 in the morning till about 5. Oh my goodness, God. I could not. And the only thing you can do is sit there and go, all right, your appointment's at 9 o'clock. So you've got until about 11 o'clock or 11:30. Just gut it out, dude. And you'll get through it. And any of y'all that have ever had to go through a colonoscopy, you know. Now, the other thing that I noticed is I was super, super nervous and nobody else in there was. And I was like,
You
wow.
hid it well. I didn't know you were nervous.
Yeah, I was really nervous because I was nervous about the anesthesia because I kind of am a little bit of a control freak when it comes to stuff like that. That's why I gave up drugs and I don't drink, and because I can't wrap my head around being completely helpless in anesthesia. I just don't. It was scary to me.
Wow.
When I was done with the whole process, I mean, so anyway, they bring me in for my pre-op, and they were like, so you haven't drank anything for 4 hours, since whenever. I said, well, when I got out of the car, I just took a sip off my water bottle because I did.
He's so honest.
And I didn't know they don't want you to do that because you can, what do you call it? When you throw up in a, what do they call it?
Aspirate.
That you can aspirate under anesthesia.
Karen, Casey, we're gonna read your things out loud in just a second, starting with the dance floor. But go ahead.
Okay. So they made me go back out and wait for like another 2 hours, so that they wanted it to be like 3 hours since I drank that. So I sat out there and then I went back. So then when I went back in, they make you take off all your clothes.
Marge.
And it was funny because I didn't tell you this. They said, so you want me to take off everything? And they said, well, you can leave your socks on. And I said, I do that sometimes. So I left my socks on.
Did you leave your socks on?
I left my socks on, and they put everything else in the bag. They bring it. And so get this, guys, and I'm not trying to be funny, but it freaked me out. When they were wheeling me in, because they were giving me propofol, Billie Jean from Michael Jackson's Billie Jean was on the radio that they were playing. And man, I freaked a little bit. I was like,
because that's what did him in.
So they're wheeling me back there. I got nothing but a sheet over me, and they're wheeling me back, and Billie Jean's on there. So I was like, oh my God. So then the anesthesiologist, positions me and turns me. Someone said no way. It was really weird. So then when they got me positioned, the anesthesiologist was a really cool dude. He's got a radio on in there too. And as he's administering the propofol, and I don't know if y'all have ever had propofol, all that happens is very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Very quickly. It's like, he goes, I'm administering it now. And by the time I'm done saying 4 sentences, you're going to be out. And it's true. He put it into my drip, and I immediately felt like I was chewing on a balloon. It's rubbery tasting. And the next thing I remember was Mandi waking me up. So, but as he's administering the propofol, the song Champagne Supernova by Oasis was playing in my ear. Where were you while we were getting high? That was the last lyric I heard of that song. And then I fell asleep. It was just so weird. So weird.
Oh my gosh.
Champagne Supernova in the...
I don't want to forget, Casey went back to after this, about the mushrooms. Hold on, because it was funny. Would be on the dance floor and looked at this other woman dancing, and her face turned into a wolf.
Heck yeah. I call it strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, so that's what she was talking about. And then Casey also said when she did the prep, she felt like her soul was leaving her body through her rectum, right?
Well, with propofol, you don't really have any time to feel it. Like when I had a procedure for my GERD where they run a tube down my throat, and they look and they kind of push the walls of your esophagus aside and all that. When they gave me that, I can't remember what they gave me. I think it was a narcotic they gave me. So
probably Versed or something.
But they said I was awake and I could feel myself getting fucked up. With propofol, you know, literally, he tells you, he says it's quick in, you'll be out, and then you wake up. You don't have any time to like worry about how you're starting to feel.
Yeah, no.
You're sitting there, and all of a sudden, like I said, you know, like when you're about to pass out, and it's like stars, and you see like, and you know, just stars and needles, and you pass out. That's all it was. It was real quick. It was like a rubbery taste, and then out. That was it. I had no thought.
I forgot to tell you. She said that she woke herself up in recovery because she farted. When I kissed you right when I kissed you in the forehead when I first got in there, and then I sat down because I was gonna let you sleep for a little bit, and it was the longest like fart ever. I mean, it's just air.
Yeah.
But it was like. And I was trying to figure out if it was the bed, like something rubbing on the bed, or if it was a fart, and it was like 30 seconds long.
That'd have been a good short for the channel.
Well, I was like, that probably makes him feel better. So anyways, like I said, Beast, we'll get you your copy. Just give us some time.
So can you imagine, like, I don't know if we have any guys that watch. I know there's a few, but you open your eyes and you get to see her standing over you like, hey, babe. And so all of the procedure, everything that they do that you hear about, I mean,
yeah,
I literally,
there is no counting to 10. It's like,
no, there's no counting to 10. They don't. It's like,
dog farted
and he
scared
tells
the
me
cat.
that. He tells me that. He's like, okay, so what you're going to feel, it tastes a little nasty, and that's all you're going to feel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but what? And so everything, I guess the procedure was about 25 minutes.
Something like that.
I passed out, and it seemed like I was asleep like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. No pain. No pain. I didn't feel bad at all.
We don't need this one. Okay. I mean, I don't really have to show it. We'd have to turn the light on to show it. I do think that this is funny. You keep up with the chat for a second.
Okay.
I do think this is funny. So restriction on activity. It has, you know, whatever, normal stuff. Avoid alcohol for 24 hours after procedure. Otherwise, drink as usual. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
After 24 hours. And then, okay, so there was 3 polyps. They removed all 3, and he said they didn't look concerning. Actually, though, if you look at this, there was more than that. If you did those dots. Yeah, anyway, I guess the rest were just minor. And then if you can see, this, speaking of tripping out, this right here, let me fold this part. Y'all are going to be like, should I turn the light on?
I'll do it.
This right here, now they'll be able to, it's because the right side wasn't completely cleaned out. There's really nothing to see in the picture.
We're just doxing medical records, that's all.
Yeah, but like this, oh, hey, let it go. You see this like kind of like sludgish stuff that they said it wasn't completely clear. Now, here's my question.
Can I shut it off again?
Yeah. If, with as far as technology is coming, it's just a little bit of like, you know, just a tiny bit of lining the thing. How come the camera doesn't have like an air blowing mechanism or just a little tiny bit of water that it can blow?
Like irrigate it.
Yeah, you would think, I don't know.
So
how old was your doctor?
He was very young. His name was Dr. Brady. And of course I thought I was going to be cute and be like, are you any relation to Tom? But that would have been corny. But that's one of the things that would have happened if the things that you think about, it's like a truth serum. Like some of these other anesthetics of these drugs, for some of these, when they give them to you, you say things that you wouldn't normally say, but not with propofol. But I noticed he looked like he was about 12. I'm sure he was older than that, but very, very young, Dr. Brady. And yeah.
Yeah.
But his thing is like, I do remember seeing him the first time they sent me back, when we went the last time, now that I think about it. He didn't want to, because I didn't use Sutab, and he was afraid that I wouldn't be cleaned out right. Here's the thing, like the nurse is prepping you, and she's like, she said, you took everything, and I was like, I did. She goes, what's it look like?
Okay,
and
Megan.
and they're not, it's gross, but they're not, and I said, well, it's just like water. And so there was different things on the wall, and she goes, that shade or that shade? Like I said, well, it was like lemonade. She goes, okay, so you should be good. So for this dude to say there was a little piece of fecal material in my colon, dude, I promise you I was shooting lemonade.
And I think he was just, because it says inadequate prep done or something. I think he was already suspicious that, but I'm like, no, he did what he was supposed to.
I did what I was supposed to.
Here, let's do this. Doogie Howser. Yeah, very, very young. Very nice
very young.
guy.
Very cool
young.
dude, yeah. The anesthesiologist was a real cool dude,
Karen
too.
asked the anesthesiologist if he would take her to Hawaii. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I think they blow some air in during the colonoscopy. That's why you're so gassy. My gynecologist's name is Dr. Taco. I think that's hilarious.
Dr. Taco.
That is hilarious.
Look, impressions, hemorrhoid, second degree.
I know.
I said that?
I wasn't going to tell
No,
everybody.
but see, because he
Nicolette,
said...
get you some cheesecake, sweetie.
Yeah.
She wants cheesecake. That's what
Oh. So there you go,
Hey,
Beast.
Mom.
There you go, Beast. You can tell that I had a...
You can kiss any of it.
Because he said...
Kiss any of these right here. Your
Yeah.
choice.
No, but the fact that he said there was one polyp on the kind of on the outside, and I was like, I knew I had that one. I told you that. I said I knew there was something. I thought it was a hemorrhoid.
But I don't
Apparently
think
it is.
I guess it was. I don't think this one is that. That's not good.
Oh.
Hold on 1 second. Let me answer it. You sit
Okay.
right here.
So
Hello,
Mandy had to answer the phone.
Mom. Hello.
So anyway, we're a little...
Hold on. It's okay. I think it was a pocket dial.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Just keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, we did. She just got a call from a family member that she wouldn't normally get a call from at this hour. So you got to take that phone call.
Oh, okay. No problem. Yeah, we're doing a live stream as long as everything's okay.
Anyway, it sounds like it's okay, but you know how it is when your parents are older and then you get an impromptu phone call, it freaks you out.
Okay.
So I think that's weird, but obviously it's okay. So, whew. When the incoming call was coming in, I was like, who is doxing
But
us?
the thing is, I knew, but it's weird that she called you. Remember the one time way back in the apartment when she called and we jumped off and answered it and it was to pick up furniture in the truck?
Yeah. Is everything's okay
But
though?
that's what she said it was a butt dial.
Okay, cool.
But we jumped off that time too and went and got the furniture.
Kaki's like, I'm getting confused. Simplified is your butt okay? Yes.
It actually really okay. Like there's
It's
no
really okay.
pain. There's no, right? Still no pain.
No, I mean, I would have never known.
You feel like going back next week and doing it again?
No, I don't want to do it again. It's kind of like basic training. You're proud of it. It wasn't that bad but you wouldn't want to do it again. Jude said, would you ever do it again? Well, he wants to see me in 3 to 6 months because the right side with a more intense cleansing. That's what they said. So like 3 to 6 months with a more intense cleansing.
Okay.
Because I guess there's two sides. He said the right side was a little murky, but bottom line is there was 3 or 4 polyps. That's fairly normal for a 53-year-old, and none of them looked like they were anything to worry about.
Good.
So
Nicolette, shoot, you can ask her your question. So she has a question, but it's off topic. Go for
Kaki
it.
is like, simplified is your butt okay?
I know. Janet,
Yes.
my mom butt dialed at 11 the other night and freaked. Yes, that is like the worst. That's my sister one time accidentally called me in the middle of the night, and that's super unusual. But I always know, and it wouldn't have been so weird if it had been my phone. It was that it was Sean's phone, so I figured she couldn't get a hold of anybody on my phone. And so she went to his phone.
I was explaining to him
It's
while you were
all
over there.
good.
It's scary though when our parents call.
Yeah, it's
Like-
I'm just glad to know.
Now, my parents will call Mandy. I mean, my dad, my mom, probably more than they call me, but
Yeah. Your dad's not a, he will text, but no, he is the guy that which he must have forgotten. Presley's popping on a second, say a prayer for you. Thank you, Presley. We
Thank
saw
you. I can read
I
it
hope
here.
you caught us when we thanked you for the PayPal. You're in our thoughts and prayers. I know you got a lot going on.
Yes, dear, I did. She said, I bet you chit on. I did.
And I cleaned. It was really not that. Don't go into details.
I know.
But it was really not
go
that
into
dirty.
detail.
Yeah, because he'll tell you all. But I have to say, even despite the situation that presented itself, and I said, I'll clean it because he used this bathroom. There was a little bit extra cleaning to do in the toilet. Still not on the walls.
Yeah, and that's probably about as bad as it's going to get.
Yeah, and even with taking that, when I had laying his clothes out so he could get back dressed, after the thing, I kind of looked at it because I thought the boxers, because of him taking it clean as a whistle, Sean.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like by the time, if you do everything that they say,
Yeah.
About 2.5 hours before you even have to go to your appointment, you're not going as much.
Yeah.
but you're just really dried out and dehydrated. You know,
Yeah.
all you want to do is drink something or eat, and you can't.
That's why I tried to finish my tea in the car and then brought the ice.
She was so sweet, guys.
But I was like, I'm not going to throw this ice away. And so I brought it up.
So what happened is when they sent me back out to wait another couple hours, Mandi was sweet as can be. I was like, so you can go eat if you want. And she was like, no. And about 20 minutes later, she's like, well, I might go get some tea. And I was like, yeah, go ahead and do that. But
Jana said her family's threatened to divorce me if I ever divorce my hubs. Tell Nelson no. Yeah, his parents are very clear that if anybody goes, it's gonna have to be he has to go. Me and the dog we always have a place to stay.
Casey, I said I had 4 polyps. Yes, I have to go back and
like me. Don't like me.
That's the way it is.
They like me. They don't like Yetis. They don't like Yetis or Sasquatch.
Yeah. See, so Casey, 4 polyps is normal. It's not like I'll answer that later. One of my buddies at work he wants to buy a baseball card. He's asking me what he should pay for it. Cool. I like that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's when people think if there's a polyp or two that they freak out. It's normal for us to have a couple here and there. It's just if your colon is full of them, there's a higher chance of them being malignant. So like the doc said, they're going to biopsy the polyps that they took out. He doesn't think there's going to be any problem with them, but...
Do you know what he said? He says he doesn't even think they're precancerous.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to go... Right. You're not going to be able to claim cancer.
I'm not going to
stage
shave my
0,
head.
And shave your head. And we're on a roll tonight.
But, yeah. And part of me is like, when I'm about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, it goes through your mind, fuck this. You know, I'm just not going. I'm just going to freaking eat something and, you know, and just go to sleep. And it's like, then you think about people. This is what I did. I think about people that have advanced conditions or they have permanent medical conditions that they have to do this all the time. And they feel awful all the time. And they figure out a way to push through every single day. And I was like, stop being a puss.
Our
dude.
sister-in-law.
And I was like, just do this. You know, it's for your health. So
our sister-in-law, with all of her diseases, she's had to do it. Did Nicolette ever ask her question? You've got me on the edge of my seat, Nicolette. What was the question?
So anyway, that's it. We're going to move on. Nicolette's going to ask a question, and butthole's good.
I didn't mean to change the subject. You have to do the satisfaction survey. How funny is that? They literally call it a satisfaction. You can be like,
and the thing is,
well, it's
like,
not my thing, but if it was my thing.
I have 0 complaints.
Oh, I'll scroll back, Nicolette, and look.
When they sent me back to wait for a couple extra hours, and when I came back in the second time, they thanked me for being so cool about it, that people, like, sometimes they act crazy when they're told that they've got to go wait another couple extra hours, and I get it.
Nicolette, did they remove your question for some reason? Because it's not showing up. If it has anything that begins with a T, an R, a TT, it's blocked. We have it in our filtered words not to
But it would come up
up.
hide or show, though, or it wouldn't even do that.
No, I don't even think it does that. We have every variation you can think of in the filtered words.
Can you carry it for 3 minutes?
You in the bathroom?
I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to
Don't do it in that one.
No.
Go shut the chickens in.
I'm going to go shut the chickens in.
Yeah.
They were still out in the yard 10 minutes ago.
We have it set like that just to keep it moving. But the clever, most people have figured out how to go. Yeah, exactly, Amanda, right? Are you satisfied, like, with your anal? Well, I mean, I thought it was okay, but I won't be back next week.
It's not something I'm going to do every month.
Yeah, exactly. But he was like, when I came in, yeah, I don't think Beast is. You can substitute Beast, but I don't think she wants to do that. When I went in there, she said she asked it. She's gonna have to reword it because I think one of the filtered words came up. But here's the thing. Okay, so when he was back there, when he went to recovery, like, he was like, you know, he was asleep on his side, like they put him to sleep. Wait, is like your show first matter? Was she the same or did she change eventually? Once a cray, always a cray. Just progressively worse though. The narcissism got worse and got out of hand. See, our folks are like, you can't get over on them. So on his side, the same way he fell asleep. So when they took me into the little curtained recovery room, he was still asleep there, but he was breathing regularly. Sean doesn't snore. So she said, yeah, he said he didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I said, yeah, he didn't. And he said, so it's fine. I said, oh, I know you need the bed. Let me know when to wake him up. And I kissed him on the forehead or whatever. And there was like, no, he didn't even stir because he was just out. And then she came back in, and I think she kind of thought I was like cold hearted because I was like, I already forgot, Nicolette. Don't worry about it. So when I hold on real quick. Let me do you a favor real quick. Okay. So then it was time to wake up because she came back in. I said, do I need to get him up? And she said, yeah, I'm going to get him something to drink, like a soda or whatever. And then, and so I started trying to wake him up, and I was like, hey, sweetie, hey. And he woke up, and he started to come to. He doesn't remember any of this, which I was kind of surprised. He doesn't remember any of it. So then the doctor came in and was telling me what he saw, kind of the same thing that we showed you. And Sean was sitting there going, okay, yeah, I remember you said that. I remember whatever. And I'm like, wow, he's really with it for considering that he's still, you know, whatever. And then he's like, no, I'm doing, I mean, just like his normal thing. And then later, it was, he was like, I don't remember any of that. And I said, oh, you were talking to the doctor like you knew what had happened in your procedure. And
oh, you're talking about?
Yeah. So anyways, but the moral of the story is all is well down there. They're just letting her know to proceed with caution with the beast.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
who proceed with caution?
Nicolette.
Oh, yeah.
When Jude woke up from her eye surgery, the nurse was holding a cup of coffee with half and half and one sugar. Oh my gosh. She asked how she knew how I drank it. She laughed and said, you never shut up. And then let it go. I remember waking up and asking them when they were going to do the test, and they were already done with it. When I had my gastric bypass, I'm not a rule follower, and obviously I couldn't control what I ate because that's why I was in for the surgery. But I thought, okay, I didn't follow really what I was supposed to do. And I thought I might have fatty liver. Mm-hmm. I didn't know because they had checked that. They checked the levels and it didn't seem, you know, but if your liver was too messed up, they couldn't get behind it to do the surgery. So I remember thinking, oh God. And then when I came out of surgery and they woke me up, I was like, I could see the laparoscopic things, and I was like, were they able to do it? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, what's in that syringe? And they were like, it's pain meds. And I'm like, yeah. Go put him in the IV.
let the love affair begin, right?
It was like okay, Nicolette, have a good one. Can you hide, Nicolette? Have a good one.
What does she say now?
She's very just hide her. Anyways, okay. So I think, yeah, I don't.
Wasn't she in there the other day too, like acting like she's acting like she's 10?
She's special needs.
Oh, okay.
Mama, but anyway, Mama Ricky.
When they showed you the thing for the what is that there? They're like, that's the pain meds. Did they play Foreigners? Feels like the first time.
Well, here's the thing though, because you got to keep in mind this was way before my full-on addiction and way before whatever. But I knew what things were, and I'm not going to go into details because it can trigger some people. But I was like, what is the medicine? It was the one that starts with the narcotic. It starts with a D. Mm. And I was like, okay. And then they're like, I mean, we're going to get it under control. How much, you know, what? So I made myself cry to get it.
Oh my God.
Well, I was in pain, so it wasn't really making myself, but I was like.
That's kind of like, one thing I worry about for me is.
Hey, stitching.
I don't like to take anything for pain either, but like, what if I need it at some point? You know, it's like, what if you need, you know, I don't like to have that around us.
I was talking with a friend about that just today. And I was like, it's a balance. Those medications are available for a reason.
Right.
That's why they're created. But if you take them as prescribed, then, you know, that's that. I would never leave the hospital with a prescription in my hand.
Yeah.
Never. I would never take a paper prescription for any amount of
narcotics.
A lot of people do that. Like because for the first couple of days, usually after surgery, you're in the hospital. So
yeah, that's true.
But now it's gotten to be where if you're not in a hospital setting, you can't really get anything anyway.
Even if you are, you know, I've seen it where people are like, they wouldn't give me anything, and they're lying in the bed. It's like, well, we can only give you a dose like every so often, and it's not like it used to be. Boy, I remember when she would leave the hospital with a bag full of Vicodin, Oxy, and Adderall.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And Xanax. It was crazy times, man.
We don't want any of you to be triggered though. Well, you can be triggered at her, but not the medicine.
Yeah,
hate the beast.
Hate the game, not the player. Or in this.
Oh my God. And take a shower. So the D. See, now I do know the D medicine. There is some people take it. Like if they're in pain management, they do get a prescription for it. And then some of them I've heard, and I don't know if they're still doing this, but some pain management is you actually have an internal pump that has morphine.
And they only let you have a certain amount.
Yeah. And you go to your pain appointment and they fill the bag up. You know what I mean? Which means somewhere in that clinic, there's,
Jude said, when I broke my neck, I will get, when you broke your neck, do tell.
They still probably, though, were like, we can give you enough for a few days. And
Kaki, the truth is, says our body can take more pain than we give it credit for. It is true.
That is very true.
And I I'm not like patting myself on the back, but I don't take anything for my bad back. I had taken tramadol, and when in extreme cases, I would have Vicodin, and I couldn't take it anymore because I got addicted to the tramadol. So I deal with pain, but I think my pain that's now probably a 3 or a 4 every day, maybe an 8 to somebody else that's not used to it. But you can get used to it. You can get used to it. My doctor told me, if you're going to not do long-term pain management, I'm going to get you off the tramadol, and you have to stay active in your life. If you sit around and are sedentary, and because you'll gain weight, what they said was you have to keep your back lubricated is what they said, meaning you got to keep working it. Sense. Keep working it. And
building the muscles around.
Yeah. When I first retired, I stopped doing that. I was, what am I sitting at now? About 230, 225 or 230. I was all the way up to about 260, which isn't enormous for a person that's 6'5", but it was enough for my back to be hurting all the time. Okay. So once I dropped the weight, my back doesn't bother me as much.
That's good. Just being me, I know that is another way, but this person had like rheumatoid arthritis and things like that, but it wasn't like end stage. But I did know that they do a pump like for end stage pain management. Gallbladder surgery was a breeze. The air they put in you that's what I've heard, the air. And there's a couple of people that are wanting to confirm that she did indeed take Thorazine and took it like a champ, and it didn't even.
The answer is, without getting down the rabbit hole of telling a bunch of medical stuff. Yes, there's Thorazine and I remember she
did it on camera, so it was like.
The thing is the doctor would say this right here. And, because, a lot of times the doctors would talk to me, psychological doctors and medical doctors, because I'm in the house all the time. So
I know you don't have to tell that if you're not comfortable.
But the point is they said with the Thorazine, this will control whatever, because I'd be like, oh my God. But it didn't. It didn't. I could see her take 2 doses of Thorazine. I don't know what the milligrams are for it. And she's still rocking on the live stream. So.
It slowed her down a little bit?
Slowed her down. And that's as much as I'll go into detail. But I
I didn't know you could even have a prescription outpatient for that.
Yeah, they had some. They
Yeah,
had it.
that's crazy.
I think it gets to the point where they're willing to try anything. It's like the other one, the Seroquel. That they wanted me to try Seroquel for PTSD, and they literally were going through their samples and said, "Here's 100, here's 150, here's a take what you know." I couldn't stand the Seroquel. I took it a couple times. It made me feel
Yeah.
like I don't like to lose control. I don't like to not have control, being able to walk around and stuff like that.
Seroquel's a nasty medicine. They've never
Yeah.
put me on
And
it
it
in
makes
rehab,
you feel.
but they
It makes
do.
you feel literally like a snake when you're
Yeah.
walking. You're just kind of
Khaki said
slithering
opioids
around.
create more pain. Doctors and pharmacists don't tell you that. And that's absolutely the truth. You go into a state called hyperanalgesia, which means your pain receptors are so messed up that they can't control the pain if they had to. And then it makes it more painful when you just like stub your toe because they're so messed up.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get all jacked up, and that there's different opinions about Suboxone. Suboxone, some thoughts are that they will, when you take it on a maintenance, that it quells some of those receptors that were activated, because every time you take the opioids, and especially if you increase the dose and whatever, you're activating more receptors, and that's what makes you so sick when you withdraw. All those receptors are freaking out, so you're puking and doing this and doing that and doing this.
With tramadol too. I mean, tramadol, it's benign. It doesn't have. I mean, when you first take it, it helps with anxiety. It helps with pain. It's because your pain receptors are blocked. Suboxone was a route they could have taken to get me off of it, and we did gabapentin instead.
You're good. That Suboxone, like that one lady, it took her to her knees. That they tried Suboxone to withdraw tramadol, and they said tramadol, this Suboxone does not effectively.
The doctor said to me, he was like, "You got to listen to me on this. You know, we're going to do
I'm
this."
going to read that, Casey. Hold on one second.
It was kind of an experimental thing. It's like my level of tramadol was very, very high, too high. He said it would wreck my liver after a while if I kept at that level. So they bring in this gabapentin to here, and so you're taking this, and for about a week you're taking gabapentin with it, and that was pretty funky times. And then they bring the level of tramadol down, and then they raise the gabapentin up while they're lowering this, and then they start bringing it down to the point to where you're not taking any. And it worked. It worked for me.
Yeah, tramadol, dogs, they do give tramadol for dogs. But buprenorphine, which is the Suboxone, what's the main part of Suboxone, is good for cat pain. Isn't that interesting?
Don't they give dogs Xanax too, or what did they give them?
Yeah, there was a lady in rehab with me who told the doctors, the vets, that her dog would, bite everyone at the park and try to bite her, and so that she would get Xanax for the dog.
But then she'd end up taking it. Yeah.
And she was on Dr. Phil, and I looked it up, but she was on Dr. Phil like probably in 2009 or something like that. And her last thing before she had some clean time before the last couple days before she went into rehab. She was a pretty cute blonde girl. She had tattooed one kid's name all the way up her arm, another kid's name all the way up this arm, and her husband's name across her neck like that.
She had somebody do it.
Yeah, she had someone, but she was like, oh my God. And I was like, and big, deep tattoos.
Kind of like, did you have to get a big Falcons
logo?
logo?
She was like, I don't know.
The cover.
She goes, I wouldn't have done that if I had it to do over again. I said, they can remove them, but it's painful. Yeah, that's your, okay. The one, Casey, or Karen number 1 asterisk, let's call her that. But Casey said, Mandi, do you think Gabs will post any wedding pics to Instagram? I would love to see them and watch someone snap and do another drunken live rolling around, sitting, eating off of her nasty kitchen floor. I don't know if she will or not. She might. She probably will at least let 1 or 2 go. We honestly don't talk a lot about...
might not like her to do it.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't even know the big hoopla date. I don't know that. So I have no idea. I just know the legal date. My poodle reacted severely to gabapentin. He had neurological, started walking backwards and stood for hours facing the wall.
Wow.
Oh, how sad. That's so scary. I got some strong painkiller and I had my brutal gallbladder attack and muscle relaxers, which they did 2 times. Stitching said tramadol's boring. I tend to agree.
Tramadol is boring. It's very, very boring. Let me tell you though. So when they started, I was on Tramadol for about 7 or 8 years, and I was taking about 800 milligrams a day, and I didn't think it was supposed to do anything. I didn't take it. I was on active duty, and I was out in the field all the time. I never felt any kind of way on the Tramadol, and I didn't want to. It was when I stopped taking it, like if I had a good weekend and I felt good, I wouldn't take it. I would get really, really sick. I mean, like real sick. That was the problem. Yeah, but boring, I guess, is a way to describe it. So that's why it really sucks when you have withdrawal, because you're not even getting anything out of it.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm gonna grab my iced tea out of the fridge. The other thing is, like the other, which is like she had a Tramadol addiction. I'm like, oh, that nasty Tramadol addiction. Were you waiting in line at the pharmacy? Like, you got Tramadol? What?
Yeah.
Can I?
But they were giving me so
no, but you know
much
they buy it outside the pharmacy.
Yeah, I like didn't know that.
Like older people, when there were still pill mill days, older people would get their prescription filled, and there'd be people waiting outside the pharmacies, and it was in Florida. It was bad. But I was joking, saying like nobody's standing outside the pharmacy going, "What you got? What you got? Tramadol?
Tramadol." The hell out of here. I said, well, you come see me when you can't find your Vicodin. Tramadol will do.
That was when my dad didn't want Molly, their dog, taking too much Tramadol, because he said he didn't want him selling our body downtown for Tramadol or something like that. I'm just getting my tea out of the fridge.
So, okay, let's see.
That's
hey, Buckeye Gal, I see you. Hey, Buckeye Gal, lovely Lisa. I'm trying to catch up. There was something that I was going to ask. Yeah, the broken neck story. I want to hear that. I mean, if you could tell, was that Khaki that said that? Someone said that.
Jude.
Who was it?
I think it was Jude.
Oh, Jude. Jude. Yeah. They were saying that she broke her neck. What happened? That's crazy.
Do you remember the time that Bombshell says she assisted in an accident where her boyfriend was 97% decapitated?
Wow.
No,
his butt is bullcrap.
That he was that his head was hanging by a thread of skin.
Bombshell said that?
Yeah. You don't remember when Pirate and Savage used to talk about that?
So it's not true?
Of course. I mean, how can you, if your whole thing is severed?
Oh, and he was still alive or something like that?
And then they saved him. They said they saved him.
Well, I guess if you just throw it in ice real quick and...
I was like, and they were like, does she realize how stupid that sounds? Anyway, funny stories from the community.
Wow. So lovely Lisa is here, Warrior Queen. And Buckeye Gal is here since you went and got your drink.
I did go I wasn't see what Karen said. Tramadol is slow acting but lasts longer. That's what I've heard. Hey, Sarah. There are certain medicines, like when I went inpatient, they said like oxycodone is quick in and quick out. Oxycontin is different because it's the longer acting one. But that when you kick codone, it's a rough few days, but it's quick. When you kick those few days, it's easier. But then you go into long term. But like Xanax is a long acting thing.
What's the one?
You can die with Xanax withdrawal. I always say when people start saying just cold turkey off don't. Alcohol and benzos, you cannot cold turkey off.
My doctor saved me from the benzos addiction. He wouldn't refill the one. What's the one? Fast in, fast out. That's
Morphine's fast in.
No, this is a benzo. It's
Ativan?
Ativan, that's right. So when they gave me the Ativan, they're tiny little tablets. This was years ago, 12 years ago or whatever. So what happened with Ativan is it crumples real easy into like powder.
Yeah.
So what I was doing, because I don't know if it got humid or whatever, so it was this like little vial of powder. I was just kind of putting it on my pinky and taking it that way. And I felt good. But what I was doing is I took about 30 days worth in about 10.
Yeah.
And so I went back and I explained what happened. And my doctor was like, sorry, bud, we're not giving you any more. And I'm kind of grateful for that.
It does. Even like in be careful when people put them into a pill organizer, because if there's any moisture at all that touches it, it will turn to powder in the pill
The
organizer.
Ativan will. But they put Ativan in IV drips a lot when you have like acute
Khaki
anxiety.
Khaki says she was hospitalized during her withdrawals. She's told us a little bit about her story and that she was on Suboxone. If I ever do like a panel on the recovery stuff, would you come on? I'm just curious, because it sounds like Sarah smiles. I'd love to have her on too. So Jude had a horseback riding accident, the same one that
Oh wow.
got Christopher Reeve, right?
C2 to C5. Yeah, that's up top. That's crazy.
And then someone else's brother had that happen. Gigi Marie, her older brother, had a broken neck C5 and C6 in a driving accident in 75.
Wow. It can happen so quick.
And my luck 6 months later broke my neck going over a jump. Oh my gosh. As long as I don't have to spell we'll just talk. We'll just show you how to, I'm going to sign up.
Seriously, I don't have to spell my answers out.
No, for real, Khaki, just the brief things. Anybody that has a story, I'm interested in talking.
I think it would be a phenomenal panels for y'all to have and talk. And it's like when we were trying to do a veterans panel and talk about PTSD, and it kind of got bombed by a couple people that weren't there. They were there more for their own gain than for the group. But I think it would be an incredible panel for y'all to start doing. We were talking about that today when we were, I guess, Real Stream News and
that's right. That show went down while we were in the waiting room.
So we were in the waiting room, and now that I can focus on it, because I was pretty nervous when this was on, but I guess Katie was calling him a druggie and this and that, like on Twitter and stuff.
She was like, I hear you snort on every single thing, and he was saying he didn't.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's like, we know he's got a problem. Everybody does. And I was talking to Mandi, and I was like, and the thing is, it's so many of us do or did.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people active addiction or whatever that are in this community, and there's so much more of us that have had some type of journey. So to call somebody out for it when it's pretty obvious, it's not to be mean.
Well, and I don't know if it's still up, but it's that Real Effin' Drama channel. I mean, it got methadone since 2004. I've heard methadone is probably the hardest to get off of. I had a friend who'd had a gastric bypass, and she was on methadone for some reason she said she'd been on it forever and she didn't think she was going to be able to get off of it. But again, Buckeye gal, I would love if, hold on. Okay, so not to, minimize what we were talking about, but if you were watching, it's that Real Effin' Drama channel. Within 5 minutes, they got going, because he's been jacking her around on money, and so she says, money and schedule. Like he's unreliable because he's an addict. I mean, that's what we do.
But the thing is
she was pissed. He was like, she said, everybody in the chat was like, CJ, you slur so bad most of the time, nobody can hear what can understand.
And he's like, well, it's because I'm tired. And it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. So don't want to, stitching but all joking aside, Botox injections help migraines in the back. There's a lot of people that have had luck with that. I lost 4 years of my life when I switched to Suboxone and went through horrible precipitated.
When you got somebody,
you can withdraw off methadone with Suboxone? I didn't know that. I've tried Suboxone but had severe. Yeah, see, the thing is, with Suboxone, you have to be in full withdrawal before you take your first dose. And I remember sitting in the waiting room at rehab. It was with my ex. And it had started to come on while we were at the grocery store buying whatever I needed on the way. And I remember looking at the pharmacy, and I was like, you have what I need. I won't have to go there. You know what I mean? Just thinking, you have it right there, which is a total whatever. But so by the time we're really getting admitted, and you have to be in full withdrawal. So they're like cracking jokes and stuff, doing the intake and stuff. And I'm sitting there, and finally I'm like, I'm leaving. And he was like, no. And they were like, we'll get the nurse. Because I was like, I know you can administer while I'm here, because now that I'm like here or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I kept going, I'm leaving, and I would go to get up, and finally she comes through the door, okay. And I was like,
yeah, but
because
that's
I
not
heard-
cool though. I
but
mean,
I-
on one hand, I can, they have to deal with this all day, and it's got to be, it's their normal, but they've got to. Oh man, I would probably get if I was
it was
with you.
12
it would be-
hours after my last dose is
Wow.
what I was coming up on. And anyway, y'all know when you know what's about to come. You know what I mean? Like, I'd never taken Suboxone, but I heard that when you take it the acute symptoms stop.
And that's all really you begging for, right?
Yeah, you're just like, but then the acute's harder. You can't remember. The post-acute are harder. I was like, okay, let me do this. And yeah, addicts are bad to deal with. Nobody wants to deal with this. And I tried to go back to work like a week later. You can't remember shit from one 10 minutes to the next. You can't. And I wasn't on Suboxone maintenance at that time. So it was like, you can't remember anything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The bad stuff is gone, but let me see.
Still, they were talking about Christopher Reeve and how, he had that neck injury, and he was the one that was fighting for this, the stem cell research, and that's what they were talking about.
I was looking at Amanda said Suboxone has naloxone. It pulls any other narcotic out. I even lowered down on methadone. I went 3 days before. I've heard, because I've heard of that about methadone. Poor thing. I've heard like it's that hard to get like some people do like one of those medically induced coma withdrawals from methadone where they it's like they keep you like in a medically induced coma while you detox. But I've heard the dreams with that are horrible.
Wow.
So, there's nothing worse than when you feel completely hopelessly trapped on a medication. You know what I mean? I totally understand. I didn't even know they still gave out, like you could even get methadone.
You guys collectively
Yes!
as a group here.
Khaki, you're so funny. Not that any of it's funny. Your upper people and your downer people, the meth heads were cleaning the baseboards and scrubbing their walls and doing whatever. The people that were opioid withdrawing were just like,
wow.
But there is a difference.
You guys would have an incredible platform, y'all. I mean, whoever does it.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone else wants to do their kick off a channel, and Mandi would certainly be on your panel.
Yeah, Amanda, I was addicted. Yeah, I was addicted to. It's addicted to Suboxone for about 4 years and got off December. Was it 2019 or no 2020?
We weren't here yet, right?
It had to have been. I thought it was 2 years ago. This last December.
I think it was 2 years
It'll
ago.
be
Would
3 ago.
It'll be 2 ago.
I was a methadone clinic. It'll be 3.
2. Today, it's 22 this year. 2 years ago on 20, right when we were moving. It was right when we moved.
Okay,
What
so 2.
This will be our third Christmas here, so maybe it was 19.
That's what I'm thinking. It was 19.
Maybe, yeah.
Were we not married yet?
I thought we were still in. We were in Georgia when you took the last dose, but we were going back to Texas.
My divorce was final in November.
That was it, yeah.
And then December, I didn't have no insurance.
Of 20. Then it was of 20. That's right.
Yeah. I got off of it with Kratom. So it's always like one thing to the next. But the good thing about taking Kratom is it has other benefits, and it's still, the same, like whatever, but I'm not a slave to a doctor.
True.
You know what I mean? I'm not but it is true. Like that addicts are like, what can you give me that I don't feel when I get off this? And then sometimes, like I remember when I was in there and they would not approve Suboxone maintenance when I was inpatient, and I knew I wanted to go on it. And the doctor was like, he was a psychiatrist. He said, I think you need to just take the floaties off and jump in. And I said, well, you don't have any idea how it feels. And he pulls out his coin. He did NA.
Wow.
And he was like, I've got 25 years.
And
I was like,
oof.
That's
empowering though. I mean,
he was like, that's the bet. I mean, that's what and I remember I was like, you don't have any idea what I'm feeling like. And then when he did that, I was like, well, shit. Well, can you give me just a little bit? And I remember I would be such a bitch at the treatment window. I would be like, I still have the restless legs or whatever, like still an addict, like because the nurse said if the clonidine doesn't help your restless leg, I'll talk to the doctor about phenobarb, and that was it. I was
You're like, oh,
that's
let's try that.
And then when you're an addict, you know how it is. It's like, okay, let's and just
that.
I'll bitch.
You don't
and
see
bitch
it shaking. You don't see it
But
shaking.
the doctor would not. And I finally met with him the first time, like day 3. I met with a psychiatrist, but not my psychiatrist that was assigned to me. Hey, Justine, till like the 3rd day. And there a lot of those psychiatrists that were there were in recovery from either alcoholism or all different kinds of things.
Stitching Girl says her son is heading home tomorrow, and then she won't see him again till Christmas. That's cool.
Aww. Where is he? Stitching Girl's son is in the military?
I don't know. Let's see. Amanda said I tried kratom. I have degenerative disc disease, spinal stenosis, neuropathy.
Oh, wow.
And a whole bunch of wrong with me. 2 surgeries on my back, chronic pain and addiction to pain pills is a major battle. Yeah, it is.
It is.
It is. So I use a green strain for kratom. That's what I use, and it's more for anxiety.
And it has to be the main dog, not the Malaysian, right?
Yeah, it's just it's real picky for me, but Mandy's right. You kind of trade one set, one. I hate to use the word addiction, but I guess it kind of is. It's like smoking or whatever.
Exactly. Amanda's saying the same thing.
So I traded, but I can tell you that I probably had 4 different medications from the VA. I now only take Synthroid for my thyroid. I don't take anything, no Depakote, no pain pill, nothing.
Yeah, he really
helped me with that. But the thyroid medicine is completely different. It's levothyroxine or whatever they call it. I take that every day, but that's it.
Justine's husband checked into rehab for alcohol, and now she has COVID. I wondered back when COVID was at its all-time high how that worked for rehabs and detoxes. Like, I guess they did. Let It Go has I remember Let It Go. Now she has bulging. Did you already read the spinal stenosis?
Yep.
I thought that was Amanda had that too. Yeah, they
both do.
They both do.
I think one of the other things is about when we talk about this or we get subjective about something or even critical about something, it's a good group because we're kind of all been through
Danny.
something. Most of us have been through something or are going through something.
We could do a chronic pain panel. Sarah could do that. I don't have chronic pain, but I'd be happy to host it on my channel.
I'd be over in the other room. I just have my back turned and I'd be in my other chair doing my pain in the ass.
Do y'all want to see us start streaming back to back? I'll be talking shit over here and he'll be pretending like he's not listening over there. Does that sound?
DC Media Girl with Negs behind. It's to me, it's just, it's like, okay.
We're not,
y'all, whatever, but y'all go off. Y'all do your thing.
You are, so, yeah, we're not judgmental at all. We're the best people.
We'll drag a bitch.
Says
we'll be judgmental about other things.
They want to do surgery but won't do it because every person I know that has the surgery had to have it over and over. Sean won't let anybody touch his back in surgery.
No.
$1,000. I was on $1,000 worth of pharmaceuticals, and that was my copay. I smoked pot, no pharmaceutical. Yeah, I was getting 360 30 Roxy 30s a month.
Yeah, this country
for real. That's what my prescription was. 180 every 2 weeks. Like, it's crazy.
I thought my 180 tramadol every 2 weeks was crazy. But
I don't say that a lot what the dose was because I don't want people to, because I remember sometimes I would sit there and go to Google Images and stare at pictures of pills and stuff, even in sobriety. And I would have to really, like, the fantasy of it is kind of like the flash of the needle. You get, I couldn't get that now. And the doctor warned me. It's a long story how I got that dose and they didn't take it away, but it was a whole lot of the doctor meant to approve it. One time I started seeing the physician's assistant who was she had just started and she had never done pain management physician assistant. And they had all of the paper prescriptions were pre-signed by the doctor.
And they're pencil whipping all those too.
Yeah, I mean they could, and so she just kept the prescription the same.
Danny's like, "Whoa, Mandy, yeah,
it was a lot."
Sometimes when she sits there and tells me about her journey, it's it's kind of fascinating for me to, because I've had my laps around the track, but
Yeah.
she's got a story to tell. She's very, and I tell her all the time that I'm grateful that she is here, that she made it through, because there was a lot of, it kills people.
Yeah, if I had been
You know.
drinking, I firmly believe I wouldn't have made it through. And I feel the same way about him. I'm just, like I said, I'm not as good at voicing it, but he's been through a whole lot, to include a freaking war.
So when Mandi talks to me about it, one of the things that's very, I guess,
Yeah.
remarkable is she said she used to watch Intervention. So she used to watch Intervention to as a asthma check, that these are what really fucked up.
Yeah,
people
these
are
people
like.
are really messed up.
And then all of a sudden, you said you realized that
They're not as bad.
you're worse than the
Yeah,
people on
they
the
had
show.
one episode where they were making tea and scraping fentanyl, like, gel off and making some sort of soup with it. And I was like, see, I'm not that fucked up. But then I had one time they tried fentanyl, and it never even soaked in. So I was sick and it didn't soak in or whatever. But I was like, I could probably make that soup out of it.
Yeah. But the thing is when
that's your check.
But when you're watching it going, oh, look at them, and all of a sudden you're watching one day going, oof,
Yeah,
I could seriously be on this show.
Worse than that. Yeah, I can't watch it anymore. I've tried to watch it in sobriety. Quite honestly, if they start talking about like pills or show them doing pills and shit like that, sometimes it makes me feel some kind of way, and so I just stay away from it. The love affair with the pill was far different than the alcohol. It took me further into hell, and it had it was like a love affair, and it really was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I want my kitty to come here. He won't.
I went, when he stopped, he looked at me and was like, not you.
The way from my doctor, I got the healthy air. They're yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I that's why I don't want anybody, but same, khaki, same. And so
Y'all
the other
gals
thing
need to
I
put this
thought you were
together.
talking about, there was Intervention. You know, we've talked about jiggers before. I still watch them because I showed them to Sean and then started watching them again. Their jigger removal, gross. Nobody likes that. But I would watch it when I would be whacked out on pain. Megan, Sean's gonna get that. Gotta go because the creep is back on Twitter.
Oh, man.
You better not mess with Megan.
That's right.
But yeah, but my thing was so high that I was so numbed out that it didn't even break that barrier. And it was funny because they were talking about the pleasure threshold when we were in group in the hospital, and how nothing is as good, like sex is not good, and people, because it can't break that.
Yep.
Because and I was like, oh, there's hope. There wasn't.
Let's keep you off those pills, baby.
No, but I mean, they were like, yeah, and all the women were like, oh, yeah, and I was like, oh, really? It's like, yeah, when you bring that pleasure threshold back down, then things that, and I was like, all right, and no, not so much. Until I found Sean.
I couldn't imagine looking across the room and going, so where are those pills?
And one time when I was trying to get off Suboxone, my friend from AA
I remember
was
this.
like,
I was thinking the same thing
yeah,
you're about
she
to
goes,
say.
this sounds bad, but you need to have orgasms. She said, I know it sounds horrible, whatever it takes, but it's a rush of dopamine. And I was like, and I remember glancing over at the breakfast table, and there was, and if you're watching, whatever, but there was my ex, and I was like, yeah, no, we need more options.
And here comes the Cab Scout marching
More
in.
options, yeah. It is. They said that the height of a woman's climax is as much dopamine as when a heroin hits the blood.
Wow.
At that exact moment. See what I'm saying? And nobody's having them 25 a day, giving them to themselves.
Well, I'm going to have to just keep that in mind.
But that's what they said, the chemical of it. I missed what Karen said. Megan, we'll see you again in a little bit.
Don't let the creeper get you.
Yes, I am a big believer that marijuana should be legal.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I didn't used to be like.
We're pretty conservative people,
but
too.
I do think I've seen it Let It Go is a perfect. She's pretty open about it. It has helped. When she takes her gummies, she says that it really, really helps. My pain medicine doctor had certificates all over the walls where he'd gone to these symposiums where he spoke on the benefits and the need for it. He said he wanted to practice medicine, and he goes, if all I'm doing is signing narcotics prescriptions all day, that's not medicine. They need to just put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
And so the people that want to take it till they die can take it to I want to practice medicine. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Put it on the shelf.
Get it there.
Put it on the shelf.
Yeah, like baseball cards. You just take them all.
Yeah.
I believe that too. I know, like the thing is that if you've ever been like a pothead, like I have been in different parts of my life, people don't take you seriously. You're like, they need to, when you say they really need to legalize it, people are like, well, of course you think that. But no, I mean, if you don't really know me, like Mandi didn't have any idea what my past was like.
I had no idea.
Serving my country and very conservative in my thoughts. But when you see how much it's benefited people that you love, or your brothers and sisters that have worn the uniform, you see how it can center them and help them, make it through the day. It far outweighs any negative thing. And, it's really all about how they're going to regulate it and how they want to tax it. Well, figure that out.
Yeah.
Figure out how to do it, and for those people, if they regulate it and they tax it too much, most people will say, well, I'll just still go down and get it from my weed guy until they figure it out. But at least they won't arrest me for it if I have it.
That's true. No, that's exactly right. A lot of people, Let It Go says she eats gummies when she's about to die because her pain's that bad. Amanda says she's too sensitive to THC, but think it should be legal. I know people use it to get off of pain meds. I'm not it doesn't work. I mean, it works. I get paranoid though. And
from the THC, but CBD,
but the Delta 8, I guess, is a little different.
I've tried the CBD with melatonin together, and I don't know if I just need the melatonin, but like if I can't sleep, there's a pill that I take that's got CBD's in everything. And if you're smoking a lot of weed and there's a high THC level in your body, CBD really doesn't do a whole lot for you. But if you don't smoke and you don't have THC in your body, CBD does work. But I could take one little 50 milligram if it's got CBD and melatonin in the
wow,
and I sleep like a baby.
Yeah. Khaki was saying it may be the strain for Amanda. When Let It Go's gummies kick in, it's entertaining for
Khaki,
sure.
A lot of people don't understand indica versus sativa. Like the upper, like the sativa to you smoke it during the day. In the morning, you got stuff to do. You're going to be able to get out and do stuff. In the indica, you take it at night and you just want to eat tacos and go to bed. There are different strains for different things.
Jude says, believe it or not, I've had 2 heart attacks and my cardiologist knows that oh no, I hope I pinned that and didn't. Yeah, okay. I thought I didn't mean to pin it. 2 heart attacks and my cardiologist knows I smoke weed. I can't take any meds other than the 5 I'm on. So I'm up against a wall. And stoned but not alone says, hey, everyone.
Hey, here you are. Weigh in whenever you want to.
They will, depending on what you're talking about, the algorithm will kick people up. It will bring stuff up.
So stoned and not alone, we have just
people with chronic pain
broached legalizing
options.
Marijuana right now and the benefits.
Yes, lovely Lisa.
You have found your way into a drama community, though, by the way.
I know. I sense someone speaking of weed. Here, speaking of someone who does not do that, Andy's here.
Andy, straight as ever.
Hello, Andy. Andy does not have any room for these chemical alterations that people take. But I am glad it's stoned but not alone. I'm sub to us. You never know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Hey, Andy, what's up with the Yankees, man? They gotta pull it together in the Bronx, cuz.
Yeah, Delta 8, I have to say, never judge. Oh, he's talking about I have tried Delta 8, the vape pen, and I did like it. It seemed to be better for me because it didn't have THC in it. Come here,
Andy. I saw the Facebook post that y'all are at Game 5. It took them a while to get that one kicked off, and I think it helped the Yankees against Cleveland, the delay. But I think it's hurting them now because they need a day off, bro, and they're tired. They're tired. So hopefully they can get it going, because you can definitely see how sluggish they are right now.
They're tired.
Yeah, it took them like 3 days to get Game 5 done. Well, they didn't get any days off. It took them 3 days to get. They were doing Game 1 of the NL Championship Series, and they hadn't figured out the Division Series yet. And the weather was so bad, they were standing in the door for 3 days to play that game.
Oh, my gosh.
And then they had to turn around like 12 hours later and go to Houston and play another game. It's crazy, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, that is.
That's the way it goes.
We were watching it a couple of days ago. Sawyer, what's the problem? What's the problem?
Caleb says hi. Hey, Caleb.
How are you?
It was good to finally meet you at the beach, Caleb.
Y'all, Andy is he's such a good dad. He's unbelievably good dad.
So, and I finally got to meet Caleb. I had never met him, Andy's son, and so they were both at the Outer Banks with us this summer. It was a great time.
That was so fun, Andy. I think we should petition the siblings that we can go back again next year.
Yeah.
You got a bath today?
So Andy, I had my colonoscopy today, so about 6. What time is it now? About
it's pretty late for you.
About 10 hours ago, I was on propofol, so I'm hanging in there pretty good.
Andy, what happens? Have you ever had surgery? When they give you pain meds, I bet you can't stand that feeling. Yes, Sawyer got a bath, so he wanted to say hi. Hey, Buckeye gal. I wish Ohio would legalize it. Do you want to hear my philosophy? Okay, so you walk into these gas stations now that sell the vape pens, and it's Delta 8 or whatever. And then Sawyer, get off the cat. And then here's my philosophy. They've taken THC and named it something else. And what they're selling is not from a corporation. The government is the one selling it and getting the taxes for it. I know that sounds like crazy, but I've seen them deliver it at our store. There's no manufacturer name on the boxes or anything like that. Just, whatever the flavor is.
So Andy says, and this is true, when Andy had cancer and they had to.
Oh, I had no idea.
It was pretty. It was.
I didn't know that.
It had the family going for a second. How long ago now, Andy? It was about, almost 20 years ago, 15 years ago or something? Anyway, he said, I had my kidney removed with cancer and was bedridden for a month and only took pain pills twice.
See?
So everybody's different.
But, I had no idea. Let it go and khaki can get stoned together. That would be funny. Let's do a panel where all of our usual suspects are... Sean was pretty stoned when he came out on propofol today. He kept telling me it had only been 5 minutes. It had only been 5 minutes. And I was like...
2012, so 10 years ago, yep. Wow. Yeah, I remember the whole family was holding their breath. We've had a couple of scares.
So he has one kidney?
Well, yeah, they had...
But I mean, so...
No gallbladder either.
But I mean, so he didn't have to have a...
He had a cancer that was...
But he didn't have to have a kidney transplant or anything like that.
I think he's got one kidney. He can hear us talking, but what he got over was fairly miraculous.
That's unbelievable.
And he's had a couple miracles in his life. I mean, he knows what I'm talking about.
And how old's Caleb?
How old is Caleb now? I mean, close to that. Close to that age.
I was gonna say.
But
Sawyer's drinking some water. I don't around the same age, right?
Yeah, it's.
Anyways,
that period of time for Andy Sardella was.
It was a rough time.
Very, very eventful, though. A lot of highs and lows, in the last 10 years or so. But
that's unbelievable. If you've told me, I guess I didn't connect who it was when you told. He's at the Crown Plaza. It was so sweet. You laid in the bathtub and you broke down your whole family for me.
Yeah,
it was really sweet. He described it was fascinating too. Every single cousin.
So 6, yeah. So I thought he was older than 6, but
I was thinking 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Then he's a miracle too.
Yeah, he's had a lot. The last 10 years of my cousin's life has been pretty blessed. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. You probably told me, and I remember that you had, without saying names, or that your aunt who had one, that tiny little thing, and she had a
it was amazing.
pretty sizable one.
One of my aunts, so she's a
tiny.
little lady, and she is the size of a football in there.
Yeah.
So crazy. Yeah, we've had some in my godmother. She's had quite an adventure too, you know, with her health, and yep.
That's true. That's unbelievable.
I can tell Andy is parenting right now, because when he's not being dad, he's going to write out paragraphs. When he's with his son,
exactly.
He's just going to be, and when he's going to be dad first. And
when he wanted to do the panel with us, we left while we were in OBX, we left it open like what day, and there was the first couple days he's like, no, my son's not asleep. He was like, well, maybe tomorrow, whatever. And anything his son needed, if it was sunblock or whatever he needed, I mean, Andy sat by the pool. That was, I forgot it. We already told the story about the fantasy football thing.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, okay. And he goes,
so guys that didn't hear the story, like Andy, when we were at OBX, I was in the swimming pool. And, you know, Andy was on one of the lounge chairs or whatever. And I was asking him about fantasy football. And he walked by and he goes, yeah, Mama Ricky's in my fantasy league. And we were like, what? And he was like, gotcha.
Because we were like not in YouTube mode. So when he said it, it took us by surprise.
Yep.
Look, he wants to say hi to you. You night-night? You go night-night?
You about ready, baby, tonight?
Yeah. Let me tell you about, I figured out Sawyer was pickiness with his food. I finally put all the pieces together. So he's selective about his wet food, but he will eat it. But he wants it to be not very much fluid, mainly like cuts, and it has to be on a plate. And at first I just thought he was bougie, and then I figured out he doesn't want his ears to dangle in it. So if it's in a food bowl or whatever, he has to put his face in it, and he gets it on his ears. I finally decoded it.
Thank you, Andy. Andy said, well, I just wanted to say hi from us, and that we love you, and that we watch you all the time. Got your back forever.
We miss you, Andy.
Yeah, we miss you guys. And Caleb.
We need to have another...
Yeah, we have to figure out how to do what we did again sooner, because one of the things that everybody agrees, especially with our parents, is that we're not going to be able to get everybody again, like together again in 10 years. That just,
if at all, even if everybody has to go in on it.
Okay, Buckeye Gal. She said, hey, beautiful couple, I'm going to bed. It was nice to see you tonight.
We're going to sign off too.
Yes, we're about to go too. And yes, Butters Love, skunk is skunky. I work in the post office, and sometimes when we're sorting the mail, it's like, really, dude? Really? You couldn't hide it better than that? You know, it's awful what some of the packages smell like. But anyway.
Just like, he says, I got a bath. I'm very, very cute.
He's very tired.
He's been doing good on his diet.
All right, gang. Thanks again.
Have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with us.
I get to sleep in tomorrow.
He gets to sleep in tomorrow. It'll probably be an earlier stream because he's got to be at work fairly early the next day.
Sunday I have to go in at about 6. So.
That's crazy, Megan. Yeah, make sure, depending on what he's saying, make sure you document that carefully. Okay, guys. We'll see you next time.
Everyone,
Bye.
be safe, and see you tomorrow.
Let's see here.